But I'm gonna pass the floor over to Baco now so he can show us what he's been working on.
Yeah. So this week I've been working quite hard at getting API interface for the blockchain up and running. So I will show you guys what I got so far. I just stood up the API endpoint here, and it's using Fast API and Swagger. So it comes with and I've doc-stringed everything quite thoroughly and typed everything, which required a very large amount of typing, including typing the substrate Python bindings, which was fun. And so now we have API endpoints for basically every single command that we can make on the blockchain. And that'll be available probably sometime next week or maybe a little bit longer, depending on how long it takes for me to sort of finish polishing everything out. But all of these will make it easy for people that are used to API interfaces for regular Web 2 development. They'll be able to come along and just build a website on top of our chain, and it will work very, very easily. So you won't have to do running weird, crazy command line stuff. And then we want to integrate that with like the Polkadot wallet or some other wallet as well. And then get that set up so that people can securely have their keys loaded into a web application and then actually interact the way that you would with a normal Web 2 development platform using this API interface so that everyone can easily use the blockchain. Because I know one of the biggest points of friction is definitely the command line interfaces are great, but not everybody likes them. Not everybody's comfortable on a terminal. And this will make it really easy to make applications that don't require that. So, but yeah, so that's pretty exciting. That's basically the nuts and bolts of what I've been working on. In terms of like getting the development team going on the development server. Crenshaw, thanks again for all your hard work, and Yikes as well. All the applications, I believe, have been gone through. So there's just a couple stragglers that I have to just double check myself to make sure that we're just getting people that are like actual developers, because we definitely don't want a repeat of what happened before. And then we're also I was also talking to Fam, and he said that I can bring in a development team, so I might actually just go and grab, I know a couple of different development teams that are like professional devs, and maybe we'll look at hiring them to be able to build something specific out and quickly. If we can come up with an idea of what that would look like, we can put it forward as like a proposal or something for the community. So yeah, those are my updates as of now.
No, that sounds
if
great.
I can, I'd like to jump on and kind of, this is really cool, and there's a lot of potential there, and I want to kind of paint the picture of what this means for some of the non-technical people that may be on the call. So by having this API, let me paint the picture of the way it is today before this. So right now, if you want to write a web app or anything that interacts with the blockchain, you are kind of stuck learning or using rushed integrations that will then communicate with Substrate. And there are some solutions out there for that. But what's cool about but it's a little difficult and non-standard in the sense that not all that many web developers would know how to do that. Now, what this does is it makes a standards compliant API. We're actually adhering to the open API standard as much as we can, and it's automatically documented when you just hit the thing. So people who are web developers, they'll just normal, regular web developers will see this and kind of go, "Oh, I know what to do," and that means it'll open up to more development, like to teams that wouldn't necessarily have been able to, that maybe even don't have a lot of experience with blockchain. So then the other piece that he was talking about was we're going to make kind of a proof of concept web front end, so a separate website that interacts with this and connects with a wallet to connect to it. And that's the kind of like the phase 2, but that will be like a proving ground to show that this is how you do it. And then basically anyone can develop, any front end or web developer can then develop for commune.
Yeah,
'Cause
it'll
right now-
basically be like a template for it, so it'll let the code be
Exactly.
provided. Yeah.
So this is really valuable and will really help. I'm very, very excited about this. And this is exactly where the kind of thing that my role wants to see. My role is getting core dev and functionality for commune. This opens up the gates in a lot of ways. So this is very exciting. Can't wait to see this stood up. But like a lot of this went into like this week, a lot got unlocked with this. So we're very, like I said, very excited, and it'll be very extensible, which will be a good thing for this community. Great job, Baco.
It seems like a huge leap in terms of ease of use of the systems in general. So it seems like it's going to open the gateway for a lot more people to be able to take advantage of all the different modules that are being made without necessarily falling under certain language constrictions.
I have a question. So like, so this is fully using HTTP. There's no like abstraction from like. I've noticed like there's like a weird like at least with Python, the interface like the substrate interface is pretty bad.
Oh
It's
yeah,
not
it's
bad.
terrible.
It's just
not typed.
you know it's not bad. It's just like the threads sometimes are really slow. So if I'm like querying like 10 balances, it
Yeah.
takes like super long. Whereas if I created my own RPC endpoint, it's like really fast. But that's using fully HTTP. So there's something with like the substrate client that makes it, I don't know, it's like some not lack of optimization or something. But yeah, it's definitely worse than just using complete REST or like, you know, just like a lower level like client than using
Yeah.
abstraction.
So this is just using HTTP. I haven't I basically am building it as a layer on top of commune. So that
Cool.
and then but I do want to look at doing optimizations with the RPC client just because it is like you said, it's quite slow. I just am not super familiar with the tech yet, so it's going to take me probably like another week or two of just poking around to figure out how everything works.
Lux is asking,
it's pretty. Yeah, sorry.
sorry, no. Lux is just asking, is there a module register through the API, Baco?
Yeah, so you will be able to register modules. You'll be able to, and so there's also some more like complex things that are like setting up a validator or setting up a subnet, which is basically just a bunch of these commands sort of like linked together. I'll make sure that there's options so that they're very easy for people to use, and that you can like go and just like launch a miner, as opposed to having to like read a bunch of code and figure a bunch of crazy shit out. So
That's really cool.
That's the goal. Yeah.
And this is this is awesome. Yeah, this is definitely really helpful. Sorry. This is definitely something that we should tell the substrate team. I feel like maybe they need a full overhaul of like their Python interface.
Actually, I wanted to touch on that. So this is really good and really amazing. And one of the cool reasons is I want to give a shout out to the AGI Commies team, commune-ai, because this is built on top of their platform. We tried using the main repo, but what we found is that this was much, 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 much easier, and we actually got really far. And I have to give a shout out to them because we were able to leverage their work, and it 10x'd our ability to make this. So I just seriously, amazing job, guys. I don't know if they're hearing this, but hopefully they hear that shout out because they've just crushed it. It's been really cool to see because, like I said, we were working on this and we could not get this far until we pivoted to check out their connections with Substrate, and then it just unlocked a lot. So great job, guys.
Good job, guys.
I mean, that's exactly what we're hoping to see, right? Is this collaborative effort, people to build upon what other people have already built, and then continue sort of just building and maintaining layer upon layer of the tower as we go up, kind of thing.
It's really interesting how we have two separate repos. Yeah, I guess the one I made is a bit more experimental side, and then commx is like kind of like they're targeting for more for stability. Sorry,
theirs was easier to work on just because it was very like narrowly scoped to do just particular things. So like getting it to like yours has way more functionality. Like you can do a a lot of crazy stuff with your with the main commune repo, and like this does not do that. But like because it's easier to walk before you run, that's sort of like where I wound up falling back to. So I definitely do want to like merge the two and like see if we can get some kind of cool hybrid going on. But yeah,
we can merge the two. We don't have like they're kind of like two separate perspectives. Although I do tend to notice that like having something that can be very flexible can break in more places.
Yeah.
So like kind of like in the core repo, which man, I've been working on it for a while, but like it's basically it's trying to separate what's not really core, like which is a lot of the code, like probably 90 to 95% of the code base is not really core. So you don't really need that. Like that could be in a completely separate folder that you could never see. But you don't have to see. But like if you, so like the way we want people to make like their own like subnets is like we want them to just fork commune and then like delete all the other folders except for like the the folder they need, which is like it's just like
it's basically like subspace, right? Like that's the main one, right?
Yeah. So it's like it's gonna be like your subnet will be like, because when you create like a subnet or like when you create a folder and like put like a module in that folder or something, or like you create a module, it will like basically parse the like when commune like rereads like the like its own folder, it basically parses every file and then like finds all of like the Python objects in that folder, and then it'll just like create it'll infer a name based on like where that Python object is in that folder. So it's like there's the hardest part I think to get people to understand is like that naming system, like how do we resolve the names from like the relative import or like the object path to like a simple name. Like instead of like when I'm importing a LangChain object, I have to import like 8 different like things, and it's like from LangChain dot chains import agent, and then from it's just like a lot of things. But then I just want to do like import LangChain or something, or like import agent.
Yeah.
And then
it's the curse of Python. It's like it's super easy to get things going and flexible out of the box, but it's also super easy and flexible out of the box. So like it just like you can sort of back yourself into a corner where everything you move one thing and then everything moves, right? Like
yeah, but we're trying to reduce that. But yeah, like that's the whole like this design definitely tries to remove the need for imports.
yeah,
and like
sure.
It could drastically like reduce a lot of the code. Although the downside with the design is that it's not necessarily a orthodox approach, and then it might fall into some trap where it's like people don't understand. They're like, oh, how the fuck do I do this?
Yeah, that's the problem with the non-orthodox approach. Is like it's like if you don't expect it to work the way that like the orthodox way, then you have to know the code quite intimately to be able to fully utilize its power.
Yeah, no, I agree.